The cops finally picked up my crazy neighbor. Remember when that actually happened to me and cops came and picked up my crazy neighbor and escorted her out? Is this my story? If this is about a damn fence, I'm gonna lose my mind. I live on a large property with a small house in the front. There are many small hot springs in the semi-rural mountain area that I live in, with many used by homeowners in their backyard. Many are piped indoors, but some have hot tubs built around them. I happen to have an active one in my backyard. Picture an in-ground hot tub being fed in from the hot spring. That sounds like a dream. Near my left neighbor's house. I'll call her CN for crazy neighbor. A small stream runs through the far backyards of the neighborhood and is used for gardens and little nature areas that everyone on the street enjoys. I have my small fruit/pepper garden watered by this stream and take really good care of it. For some visualization, it has a good amount of water flowing down and everyone on the street uses it in some way. My right neighbor, who's a really chill dude, who we will call Jay, has small pools he made that are fed by the stream, and 2 neighbors down has a garden similar to mine. Now, on to the actual story. Okay, your neighborhood is like, I'm picturing like the most beautiful thing. I'm so jealous. When I bought the house, the previous owners were sued by CN, her claiming that the land was rightfully hers. I don't know the details of her argument, but it was thrown out, as far as I know. The previous owners warned me of CN not to engage with her family. When I moved in, CN's kids, I'd probably say 8, 9, and 10, brought over cookies and welcomed me to the neighborhood. I thought that the previous owner was exaggerating as they seemed sweet. I invited CN and her family to a small barbecue and they accepted. The second that they got in the house, CN started to explain the rules of the neighborhood. Here we go. We got a Karen. I thought it was pretty normal, like to not play loud music after 9, keep your car in the driveway to keep the street uncluttered, etc. Common sense rules, until she got to some rules regarding the stream and the hot springs. She said that kids were allowed in all parts of the stream, in private backyards, and that everyone could use each other's hot springs. I have the only hot spring on the street, so I was surprised by that. Yeah, no, you don't get to make that rule. That's crazy. I interrupted her and told her that I wasn't comfortable with those, and she scoffed, saying that all the neighbors were fine with it. I told her that I still wasn't comfortable with it. She ignored me, continuing with some questionable rules. The rest of the night was fine, but I felt like I wouldn't want to do it again. I talked to some neighbors across the next couple of days who all told me to steer clear of CN and that her rules were BS. I went over to CN's house and told her that I had talked to the other neighbors and that I wasn't comfortable with anyone being in my backyard without my permission. She scoffed and said okay. I had lunch with Jay and he told me who CN was. A serial suer with her lawyer on speed dial to get whatever she wants. CN had sued a small chain pizza place in town into debt for having peanut oil on her pizza when she was allergic to it. The pizza chain didn't even have peanut oil, and many people in the small community believe that she put it on, but they still lost everything. I decided not to ever talk to her or her family again. Probably best. ATS. Avoid the situation. A week later, I got home from the grocery store to see CN's kids. I'll call them EKs for entitled kids, splashing in my hot spring tub. Oh my God. I would never have the patience. It's outside and usually has a lid on that. 2 small kids would definitely not be able to take it off as it is heavy and large. I tell them that they're not allowed in it and to leave my yard immediately, and they stand their ground, telling me that their mom told them that it was theirs and that they could use it. I told them that it's not true and to leave now. They finally do. Before you think I'm the a-hole for that, remember that pools/hot tubs are dangerous and I don't want to be liable. Fair point. I headed back out to buy locks for my gates. When I got back, CN was now there demanding why I kicked her kids out. She reminded me of the rules, but I told her to leave immediately and that my security camera was recording. She cursed at me for a minute or 2, then left. I was bluffing, as I did not have security cameras, but I did order them on Amazon that night. The next day was fine, replanting a lot of my plants from my apartment's balcony into the empty garden, the one that's watered by the stream. I noticed that CN kept looking over my fence. For the following weeks, CN complained about the trees in my yard, the color of my fence, what I'm doing with the stream, etc. Jay occasionally came over and told her to F off. 3 weeks ago, I left for a couple days for a friend's wedding. I kept getting security alerts saying that there was motion in my backyard. Often, her kids playing in my garden, trampling my deer shishito peppers. I can't imagine. I'm fuming inside for you. I texted Jay to tell them to get out. If you're wondering why not call the police, they wouldn't do anything as they're just some kids. I had a suspicion that CN was telling them to do these things, but I didn't have much evidence. On the drive back, I got a security alert that there was motion in my backyard. I didn't check as I was driving, but when I stopped for gas, I checked and saw CN instructing a plumbing team installing piping from my hot spring to their yard. She's cuckoo bonkers. I had to save all of the footage and I sent messages to Jay about it. Jay told them that they weren't allowed to be doing that, but since it wasn't his house, they obviously didn't listen to him. I called the police and they went, but they had already been installing the piping. The team was just leaving through the gate with a broken lock on the ground when the police showed up. They said that they had been hired by the homeowner. The police waited for me to get there while talking to the team of workers, and I told them that I was the homeowner and that I had not paid them to do it. They looked confused. I went with the police into the backyard and I started ripping the unsecured piping out with a crowbar. CN starts shrieking from her yard and puts her head over the fence and starts yelling that I'm destroying private property and that she would sue me. CN then says that she has a contract with the owner of the house to have my hot spring water. The police are now confused, as am I. She shows a contract that read that she was paying me $2 per month in exchange for the water. Okay. CN won't give it to me so I could look at it, besides waving it around in the air. The police eventually leave and warn me not to destroy the piping. I ripped up the small pipe that connects the source as she's telling me that she'll see me in court. I contacted my lawyer and she said that CN had no case as she didn't know my signature and it would be easy to prove that it was forged. I still haven't been served anything by CN's lawyer, but know that I probably will soon. In the meantime, I've been sitting in the hot tub for long baths while talking to myself loudly about how much I love it. Petty, but it made me feel good hearing the growls coming from across the fence. This is the final thing that made me post here. My garden wilting and dying at an unnatural rate. I heard a commotion out in CN's yard and I peeked over and saw her slowly pouring a massive jug of chemicals into the communal stream which goes down to mine. What if someone decided to drink from that and you killed them with that poison? I don't know if it's herbicides, plant killer, or something like bleach. It doesn't smell like bleach, so I don't think it's that, but it's rapidly killing my plants. I haven't eaten any of my fruit or peppers since, as I'm worried I might get sick. I think that if I can get definite proof for doing it, I can maybe use it in court to prove how crazy she is. People swim in pools from the stream, so I warned Jay not to for the time being and told him to tell the others. I know one neighbor removed her garden from the soil and moved it away from the stream just in case it got down to hers. I'm unsure of what I should do next. I don't think I live in a two-party consent state for video recording, as it doesn't list it on one of the PDFs I found. I might cross-post this into legal advice just in case. I do already have a lawyer, but it might be useful hearing free opinions from the internet. Edit. I forgot to say I have water testing sticks arriving tomorrow. Good call. Now this story has a million updates because he literally has just been updating every moment as it goes. So bear with us, but they're all very short, don't worry. I love that I get a warning for that. That's hilarious. Update 1. Jay offered to use a large drum in his garage to temporarily remove the water from the stream, and seeing your comments, I'm taking him up on this deal. All the neighbors down the street that I've talked to so far, 2 of them besides Jay, agreed. One who has 2 sons said they might block off the start of the stream. It is a small outlet of a moderately sized creek. It will probably be blocked off. Not that hard. Jay said that he can probably get the drum in place by tonight as his dad can help. Jay also has a sweet dog and definitely wants to protect it. I am going to remove my plants from the soil near the stream. Also, for reference in size of the stream, it's about 1 to 2 feet across. It's truly just a stream. There's lots of obstacles and things that would probably filter out, but we definitely still have to be safe. Yeah, especially for the doggies, okay? Update 2. The nice neighbor's kids dammed up the stream where it started. It's a couple of pieces of wood, a branch or 2, and a lot of small rocks. There's still a tiny bit of water flowing, but it's absorbed by the soil higher up before crazy neighbor. Jay got the drum out, but we turned out not to need it. There's water still in the pools in his backyard, and we plan to do a water test. Apparently, pH tests are sold in a store just 10 minutes away, so I will head there soon. Update 3. He really is just living through this. Like, he's on his phone being like, update. Jay's getting the pH test and an oxygen level test, but I don't know how oxygen levels would play into it. I will look at responses and figure out what to do next. I will call authorities soon. Update 4. The water test pH came lower than the creek water before CN's house, a full 0.9 lower. Nitrates a little bit higher, dissolved oxygen significantly lower. That's the only real change in between the 2 tests. I wonder if she just poured a lot of vinegar. I think herbicides do change pH, but 0.9 is quite a bit, I think. I don't fucking know. This is like a science class right here, and girl was failing all of those. So update 5, big update. The makeshift dam broke. Okay. And the water has been flowing down, but it's been slow. CN complained to a neighbor up the street that she's on speaking terms with me about being a major a-hole for not letting her kids use my hot spring tub. She let it slip that she poured household vinegar in the streams as justice. The neighbor was also shown the contract for the pipes, and she said that she didn't even have it signed by me. She and her lawyer had signed it, but without any signature space for me. I thought that she forged my signature, but she didn't even have an agreement, fraudulent or otherwise, on my side whatsoever. Duh. The neighbor similarly dislikes her, but their kids are friends, so she has to talk to CN. I sent all the info to a local environment charity that has contacts within environmental protection agencies. They usually deal with lakes and dumping, so this was in what they deal with regularly. The police were outside CN's house a couple of hours ago and took her to the station. Wow, CN is back at her house, now yelling over the fence profanities while I'm having a coffee. I don't know if they arrested her and she paid bail or that she was just taken in for questioning or something. I know her brother-in-law works at the police station, but I wouldn't doubt that her family members have a strained relationship with her. I hope that she's stuck with a giant fine and or jail time. CN's lawyer still hasn't served me regarding the pipes, and my lawyer is saying that CN has no case whatsoever. Duh. She probably forged her lawyer's signature. Let's be so for real, because what lawyer realistically is looking at that being like, this is the real document, we don't even have their signature on it. Update 6. My power just went out in my house. I think CN just flipped the breakers to annoy me, going outside ASAP. Update 7, back inside. CN indeed did flip the breakers. As far as I know, the security camera has an internal battery for some time after it's disconnected from the power, so I don't have to worry about her doing anything. Well, besides flipping the breaker again. Update 8. I called the owner of the copy print delivery shop and he agreed to what I mentioned in a previous post. I removed all the pipes from my yard and I put them into bags. I didn't have as many plastic bags and boxes as I thought, so I'm paying extra for the owner of the coffee shop to supply them. He just delivered the first one to CN. I watched from the street and CN's husband answered. He shouted for CN and she came up. I didn't hear any of the discussion, but she signed the delivery sheet, took the package of a single small corner pipe piece and stormed into her house. She went up to the second story window and proceeded to glare at me. Still glaring as I sat on my couch while writing this. Working from home will be so nice for watching this. Sir, you're on the clock. You ain't working. You're on Reddit your entire shift. All right, I need to hydrate. Speaking of streaming water, let me get some in me. All right, and you should too. Cheers. Update 9. Since my last post, there has been one more pipe delivery to CN, and she is pissed. She stormed over to my house after signing the delivery, which I thought that she would stop doing, and banged on the door. I started recording my front door, and I opened the door. I'm not dumb enough to let her in. CN starts shrieking about how awful I am and that I had to keep the pipes installed as it was her property and we had a contract. When I told her that the contract wasn't legal at all, she started screaming at me. I stepped inside for a second and called the police with the door closed. CN continues banging on my door. I don't open until a police car comes down the street. I tell the police that I don't want her ever to be on my property and that she is trespassing. They relay that to her and she takes up a hurt old lady act. For reference, she is in her 40s. CN tells them that my hot tub burned her youngest child and that I was luring kids in? Okay. I showed the police the camera footage and they asked her to come to the station with them. I'm assuming that she made some fake report, but I guess that will be another charge of lying to a police officer. I think that the officer, not CN's brother-in-law, believed me and saw that she was in fact a crazy neighbor. I saw CN get back into her house and once again went up to the top window staring. I can just picture, look. I closed the blinds. I thought she would stop. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. But to my surprise, she crosses the street to the side of the hill. There is a slope on the other side of the street from the houses. There's more houses up on the slope. And then stares through my front window. Do we know if she's well? And that's not even being funny. There could be something off here. Not that it's, justified to do all this to someone, but I'm thinking there might be more here rather than just being a Karen, I don't have blinds for that one and was about to head to a different room when I saw her trip backwards. There's a small ditch for runoff and land on her butt. CN lets out an ungodly screech. It wasn't that loud, but I'd like to say it was, as she storms back into her house. I feel at this point, with all the other stuff from my lawyer, from Reddit, and neighbors saying that I'm completely in the right and CN is insane, has made this more into entertainment than a scary situation for me. I have multiple locks arriving in a couple of days and a new security camera for the side yard. If you have any legal suggestions, please tell me. If there's anything I should be aware of, please tell me. You got this covered because there's a bunch more updates to come. Update 10. I've been told that messing with CN is probably not going to help out legally, especially with a restraining order, so I just told the copy shop owner just to deliver it all at once. Oh no. I don't know if that's happened yet, but I'm fine not looking when it happens. I will file a restraining order today. I don't know how it works, but I hope I can complete it today. No new news from CN except Jay saying that she looked really mad. I know this isn't a big update, but it's an update on the situation. Update 11. This happened last night and I was too tired to update after it. CN's husband, I'll call him NH for neighbor husband, knocked on my door last night, alone. CN wasn't there, so I answered it. He then tells me that CN is going through some things right now and some other stuff. He then asks me if I could let sleeping dogs die. She did some stuff wrong, but she's a really great person. I told him that I would consider it. I'm not, but I didn't want to be in that conversation. I honestly thought that he would apologize about it, but making excuses like that is so pathetic. According to many of my neighbors, CN's been like that for years. I think he's trying to cover themselves from the bomb that they just planted. Update 12. I went out to get my mail and I noticed CN rushed out of her house onto her porch to watch me. I take the mail and I head inside. I'm thinking the worst case scenario right now. Through the endless sea of junk mail, there was a wedding invitation. Nobody I know remotely nearby is getting married, and I didn't recognize the names or the faces. On the back was a handwritten letter thanking me for volunteering my house for a bachelorette party and inviting me to a wedding at a local venue. She did this. Number 1. Definitely did not invite anyone to use my property for a party. Number 2, my backyard isn't the biggest for a party. And number 3, I don't know who these people are. I took a picture of the front and the back and then went and made a copy of the invitation and cut it to the right size. I then took the copy and walked in front of CN's house in the street. She is looking from the door. I then light the copy on fire, safely. She runs out and starts yelling at me. I am not entirely listening as I have an earbud in my left ear listening to a podcast, but at one point I heard the groom's name. Clearly, she was behind it. I knew before, but this solidified the fact. I called her husband and told him that I was not hosting the bachelorette party and to leave me alone. He asks which one. I told him the names of the bride and groom. He is audibly surprised. He then tells me that the groom is CN's son from a teenage pregnancy, not with him. He then said that he would talk to CN about it, calling it an accident. I find the name of the dad of the groom and I call him. He sounded super genuinely grateful when I told him who I was. I asked him about CN and he said that she had left the baby with him, and when he had sued for child support, the judge said that it was his poor choices that led to the baby and he was responsible for it without child support. I told him about the situation and he sounded defeated. Apparently, the groom had been quick to forgive his absent mother, CN, and had invited her against the dad's wishes. He said that he would tell the groom and the bride about the situation. I then had a thought that would be the absolute perfect revenge. I offered to host the party for free with 2 rules. 1, they don't damage anything and clean everything up. 2, CN is blocked at the door of the wedding despite her invitation. And 3, my invite to the wedding still stands. He said he would discuss it with the bride and groom. Even if he says no, it's worth a try. I will probably get the news in the next couple of days. This is beyond. I can't believe. It's so insane. All of this is crazy. Update 13. I will call the groom's dad GD, groom's dad, and groom and bride will be G and B. I was looking over some comments just before posting this and realized I don't want to be screwed over, so I am staying back. Also, groom's dad gave me a call extremely late last night and told me that groom wanted to meet his mom, crazy neighbor, at the wedding. Bride was supportive, thinking it would be an extremely wholesome wedding. Groom's dad said that he would try to find another location for the party, but that it would be hard this late as bride had a large bridesmaids group. Groom's dad is going to help CN with preparing for the wedding at his son's request, even though he thinks it might be a disaster. My plants that are near the stream looked scorched as if they were set on fire. I'm talking about the plants that are next and around the stream, not in my garden. I think the next steps are through legal means and not through petty actions. Update 14. I've never had this many updates. CN has been trying to gain access to the hot spring for as long as she's known of it. She had trial lawsuits, land disputes, and other legal and legally dubious means to get it. When she heard of her son becoming married, she thought that she could have a good attempt at gaining access to the hot spring. CN had initially offered to use her house for a price for the bridesmaids party, but since it didn't have anything good for a party, bride had declined. She couldn't find another place though, but still didn't want CN's house. CN then had the bright idea to tell bride and groom that she had a natural, healing, and amazing hot spring in her yard, and bride said yes. This is when CN tries the whole piping from the hot spring to her yard. She obviously doesn't get far into the plan. After I dismantle all the piping, she volunteers my house and backyard for the party. I think that the stream pollution was lashing out because she was mad before she volunteered at my house. Update 15. Groom's dad called me about 10 minutes ago. I was going to post the update right away, but I was reading some of the comments. This is what he said, and he asked if my offer about hosting the bridesmaid party was still standing. This is heavily paraphrased to be readable, but all the main points and events are there. Groom's dad met up with crazy neighbor to talk about the wedding, mostly setting boundaries. He went to her house with his phone recording just in case anything happened, knowing the history with CN. Groom's dad is talking to CN very formally, as many straight facts as possible, when he glances through a cracked open door into her bedroom. I don't remember the word he used to describe it. It was a very good way to say it, but kind of out of the corner of your vision when you're avoiding eye contact. Groom's dad sees multiple white dresses laying on CN's bed. They are fancy dresses. Not quite wedding dresses, but definitely close. Groom's dad can't stop staring at it. He then asks CN about what she's going to be wearing to the wedding, and CN says that she had a couple of nice dresses picked out. He connects the dots and subtly leaves the conversation, calls bride and groom and tells them what he saw. He then gives groom some of CN's history. Bride then asks if they can do the house with the hot spring then. Groom's dad tells me that he knows that I don't like CN and that I wouldn't be at the wedding, but that the rest of the deal would stand. I told him sure, but not to let CN know about it, just letting herself think that I got pushed around by him into hosting. I know that the agencies I contacted about her pouring vinegar into the creek have been investigating, so even though it likely won't, I hope it all falls out on the day of the wedding. This is chaos. So basically she wants to wear white dresses to the wedding. Not surprised. All right, so this is the final update. However, this story is still ongoing. But here's where we're leaving off as of this point in time. Okay, I've been told to skinny dip in the hot spring. I'm not doing that. I am not socially okay enough for my neighbor to see, even if it's to get revenge. But I do know some people who are. This happened yesterday around 1, just for reference. I told some friends who are comfortable in their own bodies that they could hang out in the hot tub and I'm not going to be there, so they can do whatever. I asked him to do it after I gave a little bit of backstory of the neighbor. They happily agreed and they came around 1. I left for a nice long lunch when they came and I told them to call me if anything happened. I also turned off the back security camera just to not be weird. Not 30 minutes later do the cops call me asking if I was okay with the people in my backyard. CN had called the cops for a trespassing, hypocrite, and they had arrived and talked to my friends. They had my number and they called me. I told them that I invited them over and the cops left. I did not get a call this time, but the police were called again for my friends exposing themselves to children. The police knew that they were in a private backyard, but still came and pretty much left almost immediately after. It was the same officers, I think. And here I was thinking this was just about a fence. No. I think it's not even about a stream anymore. It's getting crazy. I'm so invested in this. I have to do a part 2. I have to stay on this story. Maybe you guys aren't invested, but I am invested. Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.